Caitlin Clark's almost back. The return is imminent. It is loading, progressing. I've told you I believe Clark is playing on Wednesday against the Valkyries. I feel good about that, and I feel even better about it after the Fever practice today. They had an open practice for some season ticket holders and a scrimmage against some practice players. And the most notable thing from that was that Caitlin Clark was out on the floor and out on the floor with the starters.
The silence was deafening. 5 games without Caitlin Clark, and fans across the league were holding their breath. But then, without warning or fanfare, she stepped back onto the court. Not for a warm-up. Not for rehab. For war. The open practice in Indiana, originally planned as a friendly showcase for MVP ticket holders, turned into something far more explosive.
First bucket of the scrimmage, Caitlin Clark drives in and takes it to the rack.
Caitlin Clark didn't just return. She dominated a full 5-on-5 scrimmage in front of stunned fans and media. The buzz started instantly. Was this a comeback? A preview of the chaos she's about to unleash on the league? But what made this moment truly seismic was what came next. The Fever's core 3 was confirmed for AllStar status. A long-lost teammate reappeared from nowhere. And one of the biggest matchups in WNBA history, Clark versus Buchers, was suddenly moved to an NBA arena. It felt less like a practice and more like a warning shot. Inside that gym, the message was loud and clear. Caitlin Clark is back. The WNBA isn't just excited, it's anxious. Because if this is how she plays after time off, imagine what she'll do at full speed. And the league? It just felt the first tremor of something massive.
Oh my god, Caitlin Clark might be back, lads. She might be back. If you guys did not see.
For over 2 weeks, fans speculated. Was the groin injury worse than expected? Was Caitlin Clark being rested for strategic reasons? Or was there something more going on behind the scenes? The Indiana Fever remained tight-lipped, and Clark herself stayed off the radar, fueling even more curiosity. 5 straight games without the most talked-about player in women's basketball left fans impatient and hungry for answers. And then, just like that, she was back.
And just seeing her back on the court has to be, therapeutic for many Fever basketball fans.
But this wasn't just a light jog or a few casual shooting drills. This was a full-speed, high-intensity, 5-on-5 scrimmage, and Caitlin Clark came out firing. Fans who were lucky enough to attend the open practice witnessed it firsthand. She moved with confidence, controlled the pace, and made it clear she wasn't just testing her leg. She was reclaiming her role. Every move was deliberate. Every pass was sharp. And when the ball was in her hands, the energy in the building shifted.
Like, she's playing in a game. I don't know how fast she's moving, but she looked pretty decent there. She looked pretty decent, obviously in front of the kids. And I think this is one of those games where I think she probably wants to play in this Valkyries game. Because 1, it gets them a game above 500, and 2, she just wants to play basketball.
It wasn't just her presence that made the moment feel electric. It was her control. Clark wasn't easing back into the flow of the game. She was setting it. Running the floor, pulling defenders, and creating space not just for herself but for her teammates. It was clear she hadn't lost a step. If anything, she looked refreshed. And that scared people. Hingar. This wasn't just about one star returning from injury. It was about momentum, and Clark brought it with her. For a team that's been struggling to find consistent chemistry, especially with shifting rotations and mounting pressure, her return couldn't have come at a better time. She instantly elevated the level of intensity. Even Ari McDonald, who's relatively new to playing with Clark, looked energized by the partnership forming between them.
Caitlin Clark back on the floor for Indiana. And what does that mean also? It means that Clark will be playing with Ari McDonald for the first time. Not something that we have seen before, and certainly something to get excited about.
Reporters on the ground described it as a, quote, preview of what's coming. That's how powerful her presence was during a practice. Not a game. Not a press conference. A practice. And yet the implications were massive. Murihima. What made this return even more symbolic was how understated it was. There was no media blitz, no dramatic lead-up, No overhyped press release. Clark let her game do the talking. In a league where narratives often overshadow performance, this was a rare moment of pure basketball brilliance that reignited the fire around her story. And let's not ignore the emotional side of it. Fans had been waiting, hoping, and even doubting. Her comeback wasn't just a boost to the Fever. It was a statement to every critic who wondered if the hype had cooled off. One look at the way she dominated that scrimmage told you everything you needed to know. But that wasn't the only surprise the Fever had in store. Clark's return was just the first domino to fall. What came next would change the entire conversation around Indiana and send shockwaves through the league. The Indiana Fever didn't just bring Caitlin Clark back, they built an entire moment around her return. This wasn't your average team practice behind closed doors. This was a carefully crafted showcase, a strategic move to energize the fanbase and reintroduce the most electric player in the league in front of a live audience. Dubbed the MVP event, it was designed to give season ticket holders something unforgettable. And it delivered. It started on the Salesforce court, where the players warmed up and began their drills. But the real buzz began when the team moved into the main bowl of Gainbridge Fieldhouse. That's when the lights came on, literally and figuratively. With fans in the stands and cameras rolling, the Fever made it clear. This wasn't just a casual workout. It was a statement. And at the center of it all was Caitlin Clark. What stood out immediately was the pace. This wasn't a team easing into All-Star break energy. This was a squad pushing tempo, testing rotations, and showing glimpses of what could be. And right next to Clark? Ari McDonald. The two shared the backcourt in a live 5-on-5 scrimmage, and the chemistry was immediate. Sharp cuts, fast breaks, shared instincts. It wasn't perfect, but it was promising, and that promise was loud. Coach Stephanie White didn't hide her excitement either. For the first time, she's now working with two legitimate floor generals who can split duties, switch responsibilities, and give each other breathing room. The idea of getting Clark off the ball at times isn't just a tactical move, it's a protective one. With McDonald running point, Clark can slide into space, catch defenses sleeping, and conserve energy without sacrificing control. White called it organic. No rigid roles, no forced schemes, just basketball instincts taking over. According to her, they'll only script things in certain dead ball situations, like after a free throw or when a set play is needed. But beyond that, it's about feel, flow, letting two smart guards read the game and trust each other. It's a shift that could unlock something the Fever have struggled with all season: unpredictability. Until now, Clark has carried the bulk of the creation load. Every defense knew it. Every game plan aimed to slow her down. But with McDonald on the floor, that burden is shared, and defenses suddenly have two problems, not one. Even more significant was the response from fans in the arena. This wasn't just an exhibition for the diehards. It was a genuine chance to see how this team is evolving, and how fast things might change heading into the second half of the season. Fans cheered, recorded, reacted in real time as new lineups emerged and the intensity picked up. And just when the excitement seemed to peak, the Fever dropped another headline. A major announcement that would take Caitlin Clark and her teammates straight to the heart of the WNBA's biggest stage. Just as fans were catching their breath from the excitement of Caitlin Clark's return and the Fever's intense practice showcase, the franchise dropped another bombshell. 3 of their stars had been officially named to the WNBA All-Star roster. Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and Kelsey Mitchell. That's right, the Fever didn't just show up this season, they're taking over the biggest stage in women's basketball. And the announcement couldn't have come at a better time. It wasn't a leak, it wasn't a quiet reveal. The Fever made it loud and proud right in front of their fans. And with the All-Star weekend taking place in Indianapolis this year, the timing was poetic. The city that's been waiting for a resurgence in women's pro hoops now has 3 reasons to celebrate. The home crowd doesn't just get to watch, they get to host their own. But the biggest twist in this story, Caitlin Clark isn't just attending the All-Star weekend. She's one of the co-captains for the All-Star draft. That means she's calling the shots, picking her team live, and shaping the rosters that will face off in the marquee event. It's a role usually reserved for the league's most seasoned and respected veterans. Clark is doing it in her rookie season. And she's not hiding her plan, either. In her post-practice remarks, Clark told reporters with a smirk that she intends to draft both Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston to her team. Her exact words? "There's a high chance Kelsey's on my team. I might trade the rest of my team for those two." It was part joke, part strategy, and it showed how much she values building chemistry beyond just regular season play. This moment isn't just big for the Fever, it's historic. To have three players from a previously struggling franchise now dominating headlines, representing their city, and actively shaping the All-Star Game narrative is something fans could only dream of a year ago. The energy has shifted, the expectations have risen, and the WNBA is taking notice. What makes it more impressive is how different each player's journey has been. Boston was a steady force, the dominant post presence who anchored the team through tough stretches. Mitchell, often overlooked in national discussions, has consistently delivered veteran leadership and clutch performances. And Clark, the magnetic rookie, brought in a new wave of fans, media, and attention the league has never seen before. Together, they represent the future and the present of the Fever. It's a trio that symbolizes growth, grit, and star power. And having them all in the All-Star spotlight, especially in their home arena, is a message to every team in the league. Indiana isn't waiting for next season. They are arriving now. Nes again Sajin Kamini All-Star na. But while fans were still cheering that announcement, something unexpected happened back on the court. A name was called, a name that hadn't been heard in weeks, and it left everyone looking around, confused, until reality hit. Out of all the headlines coming out of that Electric Fever practice, there was one that left even the most diehard fans completely speechless. It wasn't Caitlin Clark's dominance. It wasn't the All-Star announcement. It was the return of someone no one expected to see again, Briana Turner. For weeks, Turner had been a complete ghost. No game appearances, no interviews, no presence in warm-ups, or even on the bench. Her social media was quiet, and fans began to assume the worst. Rumors swirled. Was she traded? Was she cut? Did something happen behind the scenes? The silence only added fuel to the fire. The common consensus was simple. Briana Turner was no longer with the team. But then, during the MVP Open practice, something completely unexpected happened. As names were announced over the arena speakers, one of them stopped the crowd cold. Briana Turner. A few gasps, some confusion, and then heads turned. There she was, in the building, in uniform, just like nothing had happened. Satu tu da. The moment was surreal. Fans weren't even sure how to process it. Some immediately started recording, posting clips online. Others asked each other if they had misheard. But no. Turner was there, and her name was called loud and clear. The same Briana Turner everyone had assumed was gone was suddenly back like she had never left. Even more surprising, there was no official statement from the Fever addressing her absence or her return. No coach explanation. No press release. Just silence. Again, it was as if the organization wanted to quietly fold her back into the mix and hope nobody asked too many questions. But fans did ask. Social media lit up. Comment sections exploded. Why was Turner gone so long? Why was she missing from the roster discussions? And more importantly, why did the Fever keep it all under wraps? Was it an internal issue? Was she dealing with something personal? Or had there been a miscommunication that the team simply hoped to brush aside? What makes this reappearance even more intriguing is what it could mean for the Fever's rotation. With Caitlin Clark back, Ari McDonald rising, and rumors of Dee rejoining soon, the Fever already have a logjam of talent. Adding Briana Turner back into the mix completely changes the dynamic. She's an elite defender, a veteran presence, and someone who can instantly impact games. But where does she fit? And will the coaching staff be transparent about the plan moving forward? Turner's reemergence wasn't just surprising, it raised more questions than it answered. And in a league where every move is scrutinized, it's rare to see something this major slip in under the radar. Yet somehow, the Fever pulled it off. Whether it was intentional or not, they created one of the biggest mysteries of the season. But before fans could even unpack that twist, the WNBA made a move of its own, one that involved Caitlin Clark. A massive venue change, and a rivalry fans have been begging to see for years. If Caitlin Clark's return to practice felt like a storm building in Indiana, what happened next confirmed it was spreading far beyond state lines. Just as Fever fans were still processing Briana Turner's shocking reappearance, The Dallas Wings made a bold and unexpected move. The August 1st matchup between the Wings and the Fever was officially relocated to the American Airlines Center. Why? Because Caitlin Clark will face off against Paige Buchers for the first time ever. The league didn't even try to play it cool. This isn't just another regular season game. This is a headline event. The kind of matchup that fans have been fantasizing about since the college days of Clark and Buchers. Two of the most polarizing, magnetic, and generational players in women's basketball. Now, it's happening in the WNBA, and the league is scrambling to prepare. Originally scheduled for a smaller venue, the game was quietly moved to the home of the Dallas Mavericks to accommodate what will likely be a sellout crowd and massive national interest. Within minutes of the announcement, the internet erupted. Comment sections exploded. Fans couldn't believe it. Clark and Buchers, both healthy, both peaking, both representing the future of the league, finally sharing the court. And this isn't a meaningless all-star exhibition. This is a real game with playoff implications, team dynamics, and personal pride on the line. Paige Buchers, newly added to the Wings roster, has been drawing attention for her smooth game and quiet intensity. Clark, on the other hand, plays loud. She commands attention, thrives on pressure, and lights up every arena she steps into. Their contrast alone makes the matchup electric. But it's not just about the two stars. This relocation sends a very clear message about the WNBA's direction. The league is starting to recognize the gravitational pull of its young stars. The days of ignoring massive fan demand or underestimating player impact are over. By moving this game to a larger venue, the league is admitting something fans have known for months. Caitlin Clark changes everything. The rivalry between Clark and Buchers was born in the NCAA, but was denied a proper climax due to injuries and scheduling quirks. Now, under the professional spotlight, it's getting the platform it deserves, and both players know it. Expect fireworks. Expect tension. Expect a national spotlight that the league can't afford to waste. Ticket demand is already through the roof. Fans from across the country are making travel plans. Media outlets are shifting their coverage. And teams around the league are watching closely. Because if this game breaks viewership records, which it very well might, it will change how the WNBA approaches marketing, scheduling, and star promotion moving forward. But while the spotlight moves to Dallas for that showdown, things in Indiana are far from settled. Another key piece of the Fever roster is waiting in the wings. And once she returns, everything about this team's identity could shift again. While Caitlin Clark's comeback dominated headlines and Paige Buchers' looming showdown lit the internet on fire, something else was quietly brewing behind the scenes in Indiana. For the first time all season, the Fever are on the verge of having their entire roster healthy, and that includes the much-anticipated full return of one of their most critical players, Dee. Though she wasn't the focal point of the MVP event, Dee's presence looms large over the Fever's rotation. In the last game before the open practice, she played nearly every minute, a testament to her importance and endurance. But that workload came at a cost. According to coach Stephanie White, Dee needs rest. The staff is being cautious, monitoring her closely, and preparing to reintegrate her without burning her out. It's not just about preserving her physically, it's about timing her return so it fits seamlessly with the team's evolving identity. That's easier said than done, because this isn't the same Fever team Dee left a few weeks ago. With Caitlin Clark healthy again and Ari McDonald surging, the backcourt dynamics have shifted dramatically. There's more speed, more ball movement, and a clearer offensive structure. Adding Dee back into that equation introduces a new variable, a good one, but a tricky one. Coach White has acknowledged the challenge. She's been transparent about the need to adjust lineups and rotation strategies once Dee is back. With so much talent now available, the Fever suddenly have the thing every team wants: depth. But depth brings decisions. Who starts? Who comes off the bench? How do you balance scoring, defense, and chemistry without throwing off the rhythm they've started to build? The truth is, Dee's return could be the tipping point. With Clark orchestrating plays, McDonald giving her space, Boston anchoring the paint, and Mitchell providing veteran scoring, the Fever are already moving like a real contender. Insert Dee into that system, and you potentially unlock another level, one with more versatility, more defensive switchability, and more scoring options in transition. But it also raises the stakes. Every minute matters now. Every decision could mean the difference between a playoff push or slipping in the standings. The coaching staff will have to manage egos, performance, and expectations all at once. This is no longer about surviving a rebuild. It's about competing. And let's not forget, Dee's return means something emotional too. This is a player who's battled through tough stretches, sacrificed in silence, and earned her minutes through effort, not hype. For fans, seeing her healthy again isn't just a roster update. It's a symbol of how far this team has come in just a few months. With Clark setting the tone, Dee rejoining the fold, and the full Fever unit nearly intact, the WNBA better take notice. Because this group isn't just hoping to win, they're starting to look like they expect to. And once they all take the floor together, one thing is certain: the league won't be the same. Beyond the flashy headlines, explosive scrimmages, and all-star nods, something deeper is happening inside the Indiana Fever locker room. Something that can't be measured by stats or scoreboard numbers. It's a cultural shift. A transformation in how this team carries itself, how the players interact, and how the fan base is finally starting to feel like part of the journey. And it was on full display during the Fever's MVP Open practice. The event itself was more than just a basketball showcase. It was a calculated move by the organization to peel back the curtain, to show fans the grind behind the glamour. Fans weren't just watching plays, they were part of them. They saw Q&A sessions with players, participated in photo ops, and shared genuine moments of connection. These weren't just athletes running drills, these were people. Teammates, personalities with drive, humor, vulnerability, and chemistry you could feel in the air. One of the standout moments came from Ari McDonald, who openly admitted this was her first time practicing in front of a live crowd like that. She called it exciting. She said it helped her build confidence and get more in sync with her teammates. Her smile said more than words. This was someone finding her place and loving every second of it. That same energy spread throughout the team. Players weren't just going through the motions. They were encouraging each other, calling out plays, laughing, high-fiving fans, and playing with a sense of joy and hunger that's hard to fake. You could feel the comfort setting in. This wasn't a group of strangers thrown together by draft picks and trades. This was a team becoming a family. Even off the court, players echoed that sentiment. Kelsey Mitchell spoke about how grateful she was for her All-Star selection, but instead of just praising herself, she credited her teammates. She said they made her look good. It was humility and respect wrapped into a single sentence, and it told fans everything they needed to know about the mindset brewing in Indiana. Aaliyah Boston also reflected on how special it is to be part of this team in this moment, especially with All-Star Weekend being hosted right in their backyard. You could see how much it meant to her, not just to be selected, but to share that recognition with Clark and Mitchell. It wasn't about the spotlight. It was about the shared climb. And then there's Caitlin Clark, whose presence has never just been about points and passes. From the moment she arrived, she's brought a new sense of expectation and urgency to this franchise. But what's most striking now is how she's adapted. Not demanding attention, but distributing it. She's lifting up the players around her, letting her game speak, and building something far more dangerous than hype. Belief. That belief is contagious. It's in the stands. It's on the bench. It's running through the halls of Gainbridge Fieldhouse. And if the Fever keep feeding it, the rest of the WNBA won't just have to play harder. They'll have to catch up. For months, the national conversation around Caitlin Clark was centered on hype, marketing, and media buzz. Critics said she was all flash, too dependent on headlines and fanfare. Detractors questioned whether the Indiana Fever could truly build a competitive franchise around her. But after this past week, the return, the scrimmage dominance, the all-star nods, the team chemistry, and the renewed energy, it's clear those conversations need to change. Because the WNBA isn't just watching Caitlin Clark anymore. The league is reacting to her. Premi, what makes this moment different is that it's no longer theoretical. We're not talking about what Clark might become, or what the Fever could be. We're witnessing it in real time. A rookie playing like a seasoned general. A locker room turning into a bonded unit. A losing franchise developing swagger, confidence, and most importantly, results. And the ripple effects are starting to shake the league. Other teams are adjusting their rotations, doubling her more aggressively, or changing schemes altogether when the Fever show up. Coaches are talking about her in pressers, win or lose, And whether they admit it or not, opposing players are taking these matchups personally. When Caitlin Clark steps on the floor, she brings with her more than just skill. She brings stakes. But here's the part that's really making the league sweat. It's not just Clark. It's what's forming around her. Aaliyah Boston has been dominant and consistent, continuing to evolve as one of the league's most dependable bigs. Kelsey Mitchell is quietly one of the most clutch players in the WNBA. Ari McDonald is unlocking a faster pace, and Dee's return will only add more defensive versatility. The Fever are deeper than anyone expected, and they're finally healthy. That's what has the rest of the WNBA on edge. This isn't a one-woman show. It's a movement, the kind of momentum that turns casual fans into superfans, and overlooked teams into serious contenders. And the Fever, once viewed as a rebuilding project, are suddenly one of the most intriguing squads in the league. The AllStar selection cemented that. 3 players from one of the youngest rosters in the WNBA will represent Indiana on the biggest stage. And they won't just be there to participate. They'll be at the center of the show, literally. Clark is co-hosting the draft. She plans to build her team around her Fever teammates. The WNBA didn't just give her a seat at the table. They handed her the microphone. Oh, this isn't just a good storyline. It's a cultural shift. The WNBA is learning in real time that when you have the right combination of talent, chemistry, and fan engagement, you don't just win games, you change the league's direction. The Fever know it, the fans feel it, and whether the rest of the WNBA likes it or not, they better get used to it. Because this team is no longer trying to prove it belongs, it's proving that it can take over. Caitlin Clark's return to practice wasn't just a comeback, it was a declaration. She walked into that gym and reminded everyone why the league has been buzzing since the moment she was drafted. But this time, it wasn't just about her. The Fever have evolved, with Aaliyah Boston dominating inside, Kelsey Mitchell firing on all cylinders, and new chemistry forming with Ari McDonald and Dee's pending return. This team isn't building for the future. They're arriving now. Fans feel it, the league senses it, and the opposition? They're bracing for it. What started as a rookie headline has become a full-blown culture shift. The Indiana Fever are no longer the underdogs or a rebuilding project. They're a rising force, with a chip on their shoulder and momentum on their side. If this was just a practice, imagine what's coming next. The WNBA won't be ready, but the Fever will be.